What's up, guys? Welcome to Waiver Wire Week 8 for fantasy football. Listen, Waiver Wire Week, I can't believe we're in Week 8. Week 7 is in the books. Go back and check out the studs and sucks of the week yesterday. Tim and the Bald Guy and I did a great show, so make sure you guys go back and tune into that. We're going to talk about some waiver wire pickups for Week 8, but I got to be honest with you, it's very slim and trim here. And what ends up happening is one or two guys has a good game, and the mainstream Chiefs just give you a list of guys to pick up. Now, listen, I'm going to give, just for content purposes, I'm going to give you a list. But on top of that, I'm going to give you some practical advice, okay? At this point, your team should be solidified. You should know who your starters are. I understand there's injuries, like the Dak injury happened, and then you pick up Andy Dalton, and then Andy Dalton goes down with a concussion. Listen, it happens, okay? But if you don't have to just, cover a recent injury, you should be okay, okay? That's the bottom line. I will, however, give you a list of some guys here that you may or may not want to grab, but your team should be solid. You should know who your starters are, okay? And that's why in the 16-round drafts, which I talk about making sure your roster is optimal, have a backup plan for a backup plan, okay? And now, why do we do that? Why do we have two quarterbacks in one quarterback league? Injuries. Lack of performance, right? Bye weeks. There's so many reasons why you have to have depth. Now, you can say, well, Joe, my league doesn't have a lot of bench spots. I'm not able to do that. Well, make sure you get into a league where you can get more bench spots, especially with the world circumstances and this pandemic. You got to be careful and you got to cover yourself, okay? So Week 8 waiver wire. Before we get into this, guys, smash thumbs up. Leave your starts and sits questions going into Week 8 below. I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can. And join the chat, guys. There is a chat called Flick Chat. We get to chat during games. I am doing giveaways in those chats. It's a pretty amazing environment. Below, guys, Flick Chat. There's a link here on YouTube. If you guys are, however, listening in the car, head over to my Instagram. I always put it in my story mode. You can swipe up and get the app there. It's amazing. Free to join. Amazing community. All right. Waiver wire Week 8. Again, smash the thumbs up. Quarterback, Ben Danucci came in. I call him the Coochie. Ben Danucci came in for Dalton. Dalton should be out again, probably for concussion, probably going to be out for 1 week. Ben Danucci is viable if you are desperate for a quarterback. Now, I don't see Danucci being in there for a long time. I see him maybe for a week, and then in that week, how is he going to perform? Who knows? Cowboys are an absolute disaster. This is totally a desperation Hail Mary. You need a quarterback this week type thing. But he is an option. I'm putting him in here as an option, okay? Jarrett Stidham now. I understand Cam Newton's still going to be starting. He had a terrible week. I think it was negative 0.18 fantasy points for Cam Newton. He was my suck of the week. Go back and watch that episode. Cam Newton was the suck of the week, but I got to tell you, man, he's going to come back. But Jarrett Stidham's a guy you may want to keep on your radar. Again, deeper leagues where quarterbacks may be really, really hard to get. If Cam Newton screws up again, maybe Jarrett Stidham comes in. I mean, Stidham came in, I think he threw an interception. But again, totally deeper leagues, he is an option, okay? Look at the running back position. Nothing really here that pops out to me. I'm not sure how much longer Joe Mixon's going to be out, but Giovanni Bernard came in, had 20.6 PPR fantasy points. He is an option here. He had one receiving touchdown with helped his number. So Giovanni Bernard. Carlos Hyde, a viable pickup off waiver wires, is available. Came up with 16.6 points. Now, Carlos Hyde had that one touchdown. I think it was it a receiving? No, it was a rushing touchdown. Went out the side, got a touchdown, ran for a few yards, 16.6 points. Looks like Carson will be out for a week or two. Could be a viable option off the waiver wire. Wayne Goldman had a good game with Devontae Freeman being hurt. Now, I wouldn't even say a good game, but I believe he had a touchdown, which inflated his numbers. Yeah, it was a rushing touchdown, but averaged 3.4 yards per carry. What do you expect out of the guy? He's on the Giants, but if you are needing a running back, Wayne Goldman, another option, along with Carlos Hyde going into Week 8 waiver wire. Looking at some wide receivers, and again, guys, at wide receiver, you should be set. You should have a ton of depth, right? It was crazy. I'm telling you, like Deontay Johnson goes off, Claypool. I don't even want to get into that. I had started Claypool. I mean, life goes on. It is what it is. It ain't what it ain't. But Deontay had a good game. And these are guys that we got later in the draft. I think Deontay was a 5th to 6th to 7th round pick, depending on your league. I was getting him in 7th round most times. And Claypool was going undrafted. So Deontay got banged up. I'm not sure the severity of his injury. It was an ankle thing. He should be back. If he's not, Claypool is definitely a go next week. But these are guys that we got late. Now, there's a couple guys here like Brandon Ayuk that was undrafted as well, who had a good week and is a week 8 waiver wire. So Brandon Ayuk is a guy you can get 17.5 points at 115 yards receiving that you can get off the waiver wire. All guys that suggested you possibly could consider stashing in my 16-round draft solution. The point I'm trying to make is with wide receiver, some of the guys that are breaking out right now are guys that I already told you to stash. And it's so deep at wide receiver, you could have stashed some of these guys. Now, Nelson Aguilar, I didn't see him kind of being the guy there, but Nelson Aguilar having a good week. If he is available in your leagues, finished 13th amongst wide receivers in week 7, going into week 8, could be a viable option. Got targeted 9 times. So if you do need a heavily targeted wide receiver and he is available in your leagues, Nelson Aguilar is viable. Sterling Shepard, believe it or not, he's back. I never thought I'd say this, but he's healthy. 8 targets, 6 receptions, had a pretty good game. What did he have? 59 receiving yards, but he did have that 1 touchdown, which inflated his numbers, finishing 17.9 in regards to fantasy points and PPR. Shepard is probably available in your leagues. You may want to consider grabbing him, but then again, he's on a suspect offense and may have had a pinnacle game based on the 1 touchdown. Do I trust Sterling Shepard? Not really. I really don't. But again, if you are desperate, grab him. So Ayuk, Aguilar, Shepard. Now, when you look at tight end position here, I want to talk about the tight end position. By the way, you should be addressing your needs, okay? Tight end, Harrison Bryant goes off. It was a pinnacle game, 21.5 points, finishing number 1 amongst tight ends. Tight ends as a whole had a terrible week. Number 2 after him was Gronkowski, 17.2 points. But Harrison Bryant, 5 targets, 4 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Is that going to continue? Probably not, right? He was playing Cincinnati. They don't play tight ends very well, clearly. So Harrison Bryant had the game of his life. Maybe consider grabbing him if you are desperate for tight end. But yet again, another situation where you should be set at tight end. You should know who your tight end is at this point. If you are desperate for a tight end, Harrison Bryant, believe it or not, not Martavis Bryant, not Dez Bryant, not any other Bryant you've heard of in the past. Harrison, like who is that guy, right? So you're getting these names and you're just like, who are these guys? You got to be aware of those 1 week wonders. I'm telling you, sometimes you got to just address your needs for that week. If you need a quarterback, I mean, go crazy. Ben DiCucci's out there, right? But I mean, address those needs. That's the main thing. Another thing you got to always note as well is you got to watch out for 1 week wonders, guys that are not going to continue at this pace. I don't see Harrison Bryant continuing at this pace, yet people go crazy for this guy. Again, you're seeing so much volatility with a lot of players, guys like Claypool, right? 2 amazing weeks, comes back, does nothing with Deontay back. Him and Juju and Deontay get involved. So really at this point, start your starters, guys that are performing consistently. Now, sometimes, again, you're going to say, Joe, who's consistent? Not a lot of people, right? There's only a handful of people. I mean, it's been like this up and down roller coaster with a lot of players. But try to get those guys that are get the volume, guys that you know are going to be on the field that are set and primed for a lot of volume. Okay? It's been a crazy year, as it always is with fantasy. Odell Beckham Jr. now going down. I warned you. Be careful with him, right? A lot of players going down that a lot of the mainstream Sheeps thought that they'd play. Kenyon Drake, by the way, another week 8 waiver wires. Chase Edmonds, if he's available, why not? Chase Edmonds is a guy you could grab with Kenyon Drake, one of the biggest busts in fantasy football history. Again, gets hurt. Now, I told you, I warned you guys against guys like Kenyon Drake. Be careful, guys. Years to wow us, we're not wowed. Sure enough, the mainstream told you Kenyon Drake's top 10 running back. That's what they said. And look at him. He's done nothing. And now to top it all off, he gets injured. So Chase Edmonds is another guy you may want to consider. But you should have him on your bench anyway if you got Kenyon Drake. Because Kenyon Drake, years to wow us, we're not wowed. So you really got to look for talent. You got to look for opportunity. And you got to look for trends. Now, when Montgomery first came out and I could take ownership, I was high on him. I was getting him at his ADP his rookie year, which was, I think, 3rd or 4th round. Now, he busted. When you watch him on tape, he's anticlimactic. It doesn't look like he's going to break up for runs. David Johnson, been safe, 14 points a game. He had a better week this week. I don't know what he had, like 16, 17, 18 points or something like that. I'm going to pull it up here. But David Johnson just not going to break out for that run. He's going to give you that solid 14, 17 points. What did David Johnson finish with this year? I thought he had this week. I thought he had a pretty good week. Anyway, it was a pretty, I got to pull this up here. It's bothering me. Week 7, pulling it up. Where are you, David? Oh, finished 12th amongst running backs, 16.4 points, right? 16 points, unacceptable. So, but that's what I'm going to expect out of him. So at this point, no matter who you get, you should know what you see is pretty much what you get. Aside from some breakouts, DeAndre Swift starting to emerge a little bit. There could be some breakout games there, but what you see is what you get. So you got to start your starters. And again, make the right decision, because I lost a couple weeks this week, not because my team sucked, it was because I started the wrong person. And, sometimes it's crazy. Like I made this mistake this week of benching Deontay Johnson. What can you do, right? All you can do is start your starters, okay? So good luck, guys. Week 8 is upon us. I'm going to be doing a preview show tomorrow with Tom Santinello, going over each and every matchup. At this point, we kind of separated the men from the boys in regards to some of these teams to see who the contenders and the pretenders are. Now, the Bears losing yesterday, I'm going to say you're probably a pretender, right? But we're going to have to see moving forward, right? I just don't like the way Nagy coaches. So we're going to do a preview show tomorrow, and then we do a starts and sits show with Tim on Thursday, and we're going to keep rolling out the weeks, okay? So hopefully you guys are still in it. You have a pretty good record, a winning record for that matter, and start your starters. And if you like any of these guys off the waiver wire, make sure you guys grab them, okay? So subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and join me in Flick Chat, guys. Link below. We'll talk soon, guys. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. I'm out.